Oh yeah.
SANDCAST. Bruh, bruh. We're very serious on the show, Abby. Just don't joke around at all.
No, yeah, there's no
live?
fun.
I didn't know if it was live.
No.
You just
So
upload
never
it
live.
after.
Yeah. So
No, it's not live. Yeah.
if you say anything that you want to take back, there are take backsies on the SANDCAST podcast.
Okay.
So
I was
yeah.
wondering. I was like,
Yes. No, we've
Don't mess
we've
up.
actually
Have you guys had to do that?
huh?
Have you guys had to do that? a couple
We've
times?
had to edit, I think, one thing, and then we've me and Tri did an episode where we were smoking cigars and drinking, and we were like, it's not going to make the cut.
That didn't work. It sounded like a good idea. It sounded fun. Apparently, Joe Rogan's got a different brain than us.
So
Yeah. Well, Abby, what
That's funny.
podcast do you listen to? Are you a podcast person?
I occasionally listen to yours.
Okay.
Hey.
We'll take,
now.
we'll
It was
take
a
the
test.
occasional.
Yeah.
Who's your, like, who have been
I
some
really
of the
don't
better
listen
episodes?
to that many.
Okay.
It's actually kind of funny. I used to listen to like murder ones.
Oh, like
No, those are
We
huge.
got-
that was the
though.
original like
Yeah.
big thing, right?
Yeah,
The
it
murder
sounds a little
mystery.
morbid, but I was like, oh, these are
No.
really interesting, and I'd follow them, and I was like, oh my god.
Apparently, that's like all the rage, and then I'm missing out by not listening to like the true crime podcast.
Right.
They're huge.
Yeah,
Huge.
I listened to the one up at Cal Poly, the one girl. I forgot what I haven't.
It was about the college,
The college
like
girl.
something happening on campus.
Yes, and then they buried her
Never.
body in like the backyard,
Whoa.
and then
Oh.
they found out because they were hearing her alarm in the morning.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was crazy, and then eventually the alarm died. But for a while, they're like, "Why did we keep hearing this alarm like at 5 a.m. every day?" Because she was a lifeguard.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh,
This
Yeah,
would be our
no,
first
this is a good
SANDCAST
one.
true crime
Serial.
episode.
Yeah. You guys,
Interesting.
no, you guys should listen to it. It's
Wow.
Is that
and they
wasn't it
just caught the guy like recently,
Oh.
called? No.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's
So
why
this
it
is
like
like a
got brought
real
up
thing.
again. Yeah. hmm
Whoa.
The only one I've ever listened to was one that the crime happened at the apartment complex I was living in. And the story was insane.
Oh.
So, well, have you heard of the Dirty John series?
No.
So it's like this whole thing, but the first one was it happened in my apartment complex in Newport.
Oh my god, that's
It was
scary.
crazy.
How long ago?
I lived there 2017 through 19.
Okay.
Yeah, it was gnarly though.
And it happened before.
I would have been like, bye.
No, like while I was
No.
there, and I
oh my god.
because I remember just driving home one night and the parking lot was flooded with cop cars,
Mhm.
and it was like a pretty sketchy apartment complex. It wasn't that strange, but it was
Yeah.
an unusual amount.
Yeah.
And then probably 3 weeks later, the LA Times had like a full spread. It was like a short book. And I was like, oh, this is really familiar, all this
Okay.
stuff. And then it pinned it down to the parking lot. I was like, damn,
Wow.
I was there.
Wow.
Cool. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Oh my
scary.
gosh.
Yeah.
Time to move.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bye-bye.
So then I moved to a safer place in Ericsson's garage.
That's how it all started. Okay.
Yeah.
Safer, yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then I practically lived in your basement for a while. Not your basement, but the bottom floor of your Carnegie condo
Oh,
for
yeah.
a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we're here in Hermosa.
Wow.
It's been a classic beach volleyball
That's
journey.
yeah.
Yeah.
The garage. That's a typical
Yeah.
one.
Where did you grow up? Were you San Diego?
No, I actually lived inland from where I am now. I'm currently San Clemente, but
Okay.
I lived in Coto de Caza. Grew up there.
I don't even know where that is.
It's like Rancho Santa Margarita.
Mm-hmm.
I went to high school at Santa Margarita
Okay.
Catholic High School.
Got it.
So yeah, so I grew up there, and then we were always down in San Clemente, and then eventually we moved my senior year of high school. But I commuted to high school because I wanted to stay with my
Oh.
friends. But
How far is that?
it was a long drive. It was like 45 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
That's a haul for a high schooler.
That's
It
a
was.
haul.
Especially
Yeah.
here where high school, like you can see a high school every 5 minutes
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
the road.
Yeah.
Where
So-
my town was a little bit more rural and spread out. You could actually have that commute. It wasn't that
Mhm.
unusual, but that's far.
Yeah, it was far, but it was worth it. We loved San Clemente. Like we were going down there every weekend, whether
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
like go down to the beach, surf, Doheny, like the small
Yeah.
little waves,
Heck yeah.
or just their town. Like it's so fun.
And you're still in San Clemente now?
Mhm.
Oh, so you're commuting a lot.
I know her fam
Well,
is.
Coming
now,
up
yeah,
here.
so that's my
Oh,
family.
your family
so
is,
my family's
okay.
there, and I just moved in with Andy and Deanna.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I knew
Seven
that.
Redondo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, welcome.
We're in the
Welcome
bubble.
out there.
Thank you. I know. I'm
Welcome to
finally,
the goo.
well, it's actually funny because I was like kind of couch hopping too. You know, every
You have to.
beach
It's-
player's got to
yeah.
start
She
somewhere
was
like
sleeping.
Part of the
that.
experience.
I was sleeping on their beanbag.
On the floor in our
Ooh.
tiny studio.
That's a little.
We're like,
Like,
well,
Even
well,
when
it's a
You
Savvy
gotta really
wasn't there.
curl up.
it
fetal position.
it unzips into a full bed. So
Okay,
it's like this
that's a little better.
cushion that like you can fold up into a beanbag or
I'm not
lay it out.
complaining. It was great. I had some great sleeps there. Even when Savvy wasn't there, I was like, "Can I still stay there?"
Like, yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, Evan will be there." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, her and Evan were
Evan
roommates.
actually got drug tested one day I was there.
That's hilarious.
So we
Got
wake
the
up
full
to like
experience.
somebody knocking. We're like, "Who's here?"
Give us your urine.
Yeah. And I was like, "Okay, I'm going back to bed." They were probably like, "What is this person sleeping
Random girl on the
ground?"
floor.
Well, that was fun. That guy made the rounds. That must have been the one day where he just showed up to practice and just hung out with us
it's pretty,
and had the
it's
drug test
pretty
camera.
regular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty normal.
You
They'll
get
show up
popped pretty
anyway.
often.
Not that often. Sometimes it's like directly correlated with your good results.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I haven't gotten tested lately. But I've gotten tested like when I was living in Puerto Rico
Yeah.
playing indoor, and they just showed up just for me. No one else. He said he had no one else to test on the island. It's like that was a waste of money. And then
Oh
in
my
Hawaii,
gosh.
they've showed up at my door many times.
Wow.
They
Because you're like
chase-
on vacation.
They chase
now,
us
yeah.
around, yeah.
What do you think the guy's like? Hey, there's this guy. He's pretty sketchy. He's in Hawaii. I got to do a whole week out there. I gotta make sure he's
Yeah.
clean.
The guy
Make
that
sure.
was here doing all of us all in one swoop
Yeah.
is the same guy that was in Hawaii.
Okay.
So he's like, now I've met your entire family. I've been to both of your houses. I've like
That
hung
is
out with you,
hilarious.
watched you pee twice, and all your bathrooms. It's a little weird.
Such a
but
weird job. I can't even imagine.
That's a terrible job.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want it.
Would not
No.
want that.
No.
Yeah.
And you
Well,
have to chase
if you
people
guys keep making main draws like you did in Guadalajara, your time will be coming.
You gonna learn today?
around. She's not
I
in the
still don't
pool,
get
the
tested.
testing pool yet.
Oh,
Okay.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
kind
know
of
when
like
that changes.
it's kind of like cool to get in it. You're like, yes,
Like,
I made
I'm
it.
in the club.
And then you get
But then you're like, it sucks.
I
not
just
a
got
cuddle
popped
Olympian.
the other day. I just got one the other
Yeah.
day. Yeah. Yeah. You're like, well, midday. I was in a bikini laying out, and this older lady walked in. I was like, hello? Here to drug test you. I was like, okay, maybe I'll put on a shirt. But why would I put on a shirt? You're going to watch
Right.
me pee. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter anyways. It's so funny. Gosh.
Well, how was the Guadalajara experience? I texted you guys about it and like kind of saw you briefly, but that had to have been so fun because that's such a legit win to beat Anouk and Joana. And then you almost beat Nina and Tanya, which is a win that looks really good now, or would have been a win that looked great because they just won to peak. And then you went to 3 again with Zoe and Esme, and they won gold.
Yeah.
That's
We're
a
like,
big
all right,
league
we're doing
tournament.
good.
Seriously. Oh wow.
We're like, well, Switzerland. Well, now we know how to.
Now we
We
know.
played every single team.
The Swiss are very good servers.
Yeah.
Very good servers. But you go ahead.
Well, I think after coming from Santo Domingo, we were a little disappointed getting third. I mean, we're still proud of our finish, but a little unfulfilled. So I think that kind of motivated us going into Guadalajara. And then, I mean, it was a great opportunity for me to be able to go because I was subbing in to play. So I was super grateful to be able to get into Challenger because I right now don't have points. So I think going into that, I was like, well, let's just see what we can do.
Yeah.
And when we did win our first one, going into our second one against them, I was just kind of like, well, we have nothing to lose, underdogs.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
a good
felt
place to
really
be.
confident going into it. I don't usually, I get the nerves, but I definitely felt more confident going into that match than most. So I don't know if that definitely like helped.
Where do you think that came from?
You looked confident.
I don't, it was just like, we have nothing to lose, I guess.
Mhm.
That was kind of my mentality at first going into it, but I just had a really good feeling. And I think that was also just playing with Savvy. And I feel very confident playing with her and just comforted on the court, which is really nice.
You guys look like you have a lot of fun together
We do.
on the court.
Yes, I think we do a lot.
Our
Yeah.
time was cut short at UCLA. We played together. It was technically my senior year, 2020, and we were having an absolute blast playing together. And then COVID happened. And then I played with Lexi the next year. So we had like such a short time together. And then we had a little bit in was it summer of 2021. We played the Manhattan AVP and the Chicago AVP, and we didn't qualify for either, but it was like I feel like the volleyball we were playing then versus now is just so obviously
it was college level back then.
It's
I definitely
so different.
feel like we've taken a step forward, and I mean I know she has, but I think for me personally, I definitely think I've taken that step away from college, and it's a whole new world.
What would you say are the differences between college and the big leagues? And I feel like it's almost different. You have college and AVP, and you have college and World Tour. Although for women, I feel like the gap is less because the American women are having so much success on the World Tour, where when you play at the highest level in the AVP, by extension, you're playing at the highest level in the world. But what do you think the difference is? I
don't know. Like college, sometimes you can just get comfortable, and there's not really nobody's really pushing you. I never felt like I was really getting the competition I just get right now is uncomparable to college. So I think when you're just playing against all these top players, it pushes you to be better, and you're like very eye-opening to, oh, wow, I need to grow in this part of my game. And it's just allowed me to kind of like see where my volleyball needs to advance. But I don't really know.
I feel like in the college you can get away running 1s and 4s and serving in someone's lap.
Yeah.
Like you're like, okay, I'm gonna serve this person, and we're gonna run 1s and 4s. And like when you get to the professional level, like that's just not gonna fly. Like if you're serving in someone's lap, like they're gonna side out, and you have to be so much more strict. I mean, just in the last couple of weeks, the amount of different serves we've tried. I've done like a high deep one, which we did with Stein a lot too at UCLA, and like a short one or a dropper one, like just trying to mix people up, because when people are in system, it's so hard to stop them. And then running so many different defensive plays, I think, and that the fun part is like the sky's the limit with that. Like there's so many different plays you can run defensively, and against so many different people. But I think that's the biggest thing is like in college, you can kind of get away with like, we're gonna run line block 1 every time. And maybe a 2 if it's like windy. We'll just put the defender up on the wind side, and then we're just going to serve the person, and we're going to serve that person the whole game. That's our target. And like, I don't know, there's so much film and stuff, but I think that's probably the biggest difference.
I think at the next level too, it's a side out game. If you're not siding out at a pretty high percentage, you're not going to win games. You have to side out for side out, and then hope that you get a couple with serving tough or
well, you guys
scoops.
Holy cow. Well, your defense, I remember laughing with Tri when we got back to the Airbnb. I was like, all right, so Abby's leading the tournament in blocks. Abby's leading the tournament in aces. Abby's leading in scores, kills. The one category she can't lead is digs, and Savvy's leading the tournament in digs. Like, that's a good combo.
It was so fun. I just remember when we were playing Anouk and Joana, we were nervous. It was kind of that we had nothing to lose, but then they started creeping back in. I think it was the first set. We were up kind of big, four
14,
points
10.
maybe. And they were serving me, and they started creeping in. And I started getting so nervous, like tense. And I remember just reminding myself, I was like, they have so much more to be like, why am I nervous right now? They have so much more on the line than we do. And it was such a weird thing. Like after we won, it was like, we just beat the bronze medalist, but we could have just like smashed their chances. And it was such a weird feeling. Like it's not like we're taking on another American team. It's like a team that like we're playing for fun right now. We're playing to get better, to learn and grow. And we just took out a team who needed this. And it was, I don't know, it was just such a weird feeling.
It's a funny storyline. Yeah. Like it's important to have like people really following the storylines to like bring fans in on that. Because it makes it so much more fun to watch. Like these girls are playing with no pressure, but also like everything to gain. And like this is a massive opportunity, right? To like prove themselves and measure themselves as a team against the world's best. And then on the other side is like this other team's veterans. They're not gaining anything from showing up. There's nothing fulfilling about showing up to a challenger. Like they're here for one reason, to get points for the Olympics. And like, so just to like know what everyone's playing for and their whys makes it way more interesting to watch.
Especially because we were like, she was a sub. So it was like, we were really just like, we're just going in, trying to gain some points and have fun. But it's different. Like when you step on the court, like all that, like, oh, we're here for fun, like kind of goes out the window because you are there to compete. Like you're not going to pay to go just for fun and la-di-da, whatever. It definitely changes when you get on the court. And like a lot of times I'm like, why am I so nervous? Like yesterday at the NORCECA, I'm like, I might not even go to these NORCECAs. Like, why am I so nervous to play? I was so nervous for my first game, but I don't think it matters what's on the line. I think if you're showing up to compete and you're putting yourself on the line, I mean, you're nervous regardless. I think it's
I think being nervous is awesome.
You play so much better.
You want to play in stuff you care about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's healthy. It's good.
When you get out there and you're not nervous and you're like, I don't really want to be here. Like, that's what scares me. I'm like, all right, this isn't good. Like, I don't feel anything.
You're like underestimating a team and you're like, I'm not really like, that's where you're in trouble.
Yeah, I travel across the world and I'm done all this work preparing. And then I'm like, not really nervous or excited or anything right now. I'm like, that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
When you just have that empty pit, you're like, no, where the butterflies? Where'd you go?
You try and like manifest those.
What's the matter with you?
Seriously. It's so funny.
No, that's true. It's also like playing with, it's like a fine line of caring too much, but also realizing like that there is more, because that's where I'm trying to like channel in and figure out like, okay, I care this much, but I can't let my emotions affect me too much because then it will affect my volleyball. So I'm trying to dial that in and just get the happy medium of that. Because I mean, in the match where we won, we had game point and they had 17, and I was like, don't serve me. I don't want to make a mistake. We literally needed 1 point. Siding out was like what we are best at. And I was so nervous, like that pressure, even in a moment where we needed 1 point. Yeah. It was crazy.
That's where the Confident Mind, that book kind of comes in.
That.
You need to read it because at that moment I was like, please serve, and I
had the opposite.
Like, and I've been there where I'm like, please just serve my partner. I'm going to give them the best set ever. And I'm going to give the best call, and it's going to be over, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Because you just don't feel confident in your ability. Sometimes you just don't feel confident in your ability to side out. Yeah. And in that moment, like, I don't know. I just felt it's been a total mindset shift for me after reading that book. Just the positive reinforcement. Even if I'm like missing side outs, I'm like, well, I'm going to side out eventually. Like, stay aggressive, keep swinging. Maybe run it. Like, a big thing's been like moving the ball around. Maybe go behind. Maybe spread it. But it's been so game changing for me, and I would suggest so many more people to read it. Actually, or don't. If you're playing volleyball, maybe not read it because it's helping me. So stay away. No, but it's so good, and there's so many little things. And if you take one thing away from the book, you're winning. And for me, it was the positive reinforcement at practice and in the game, like in live time, reminding yourself like, you've been here, you've done this, you can do it, you belong here. Like that for me, like you belong here is the one that, because I've been teetering for so long. I beat Kelly and Sarah Sponsel. I beat Taliqua and Maria Faye. I've beaten Anouk and Joana. It's like I've beaten these teams. I've beaten Taryn and Kristen. It's like I feel like I belong here, but I'm not there all the time. And so that's the big thing for me, is like reminding myself of that when I'm playing too. So I think that book would be really good for you and anyone. I think it's huge.
Yeah, that's got to be the most recommended book we've had on this podcast. And it's funny because we just had Zana's podcast came out today.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it. I was like, we had you on a year ago, and that book, I've sent at least 15 copies to other people. And Evan, that's like one of your favorite books in a while, right?
He does the ESP.
Evan's
every
in
day.
the peanut gallery right now.
Effort, success, progress.
Oh, it's so useful. And even if like, because I did that for a year. And then what's great is that you can go back and look through your journals, and you can just see, oh, wow, like this was my progress a year ago. Like I've come a long way.
You're like, wow, who was I?
Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah. So I highly recommend The Confident Mind.
It's really good.
That'll be my next book recommend for you.
I'll get there. I got a list going now. I've been a little slow on that.
Now we got some time.
Yes. Right.
But did the weight of playing an Olympic bronze medalist ever settle in? Because sometimes when you play an opponent like that, and especially when you see, I thought it was one of the most mature things I've seen from a young team, especially that was your first international event aside from the NORCECA, right?
She went to India.
I went to India.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Molly.
Right,
And that was my very first one, but we didn't make it out of the
But you guys have this big lead in the first set. It's like 14-10. And then I've seen it so many times where when a young team loses that lead, there's sort of this, well, we were competitive, and there's kind of this give up, and then they come in, and I thought that was 100% what was going to happen. Like once they tied it at 18s, I was like, oh, this is probably over. And then you guys won. Like, where'd you find that resolve? Because I thought that was one of the coolest things.
That's a good question. I kind of forget. Like, I didn't even realize it was 18 all. Because I remember we won
16-12 on the switch. Just trying to like relive it.
Yeah.
Well, she swung, like Joana missed one or two, like for the game. I think she hit it out or something, like for the first set. So I think we won like 23-21 or 24-22. I think that's when I switched my serving strategy. I started doing this like high, deep into the wind. I mean, I was definitely a little rattled when they came back. For sure. Like I'll own that. I was like, because they were serving me too. And I was like, I'm not sighting out. And you know, what's funny actually, I think this is actually for me personally, what helped. Sean Fallowfield, he coached us in, at UCLA and he was there working with Alex Rangeri. And I heard him in the background. He said one time, stay aggressive. And then late in the game, he yelled, play to win. And I think that's so often like, you're playing not to lose, especially when you're like, you have a lead and you're trying to you're playing to not lose. And I think when he said that, that was so awesome for me. And I don't know if you heard it too. Oh God, like, play to win. Why am I shooting? Like, why am I doing these like freaking rip? I'm not getting blocked. Why am I being tentative? Because that's when I come in early and I'm under it. And I just like, I know the tendency, but I forget it in the game. And he said that and it was like, oh my gosh, like play to win. I think that for me, now that I'm thinking about it, was probably the deciding factor for me in that tight moment.
What a cool little cue too.
Yeah.
And something so simple. It's amazing what a simple phrase, how much that can change your psychology of a match.
Tell him about Joey, be a badass.
Oh yeah. That's what we'll just look at each other and we'll just be like, just be a badass.
That's Joey Keener.
That's Joey
And
Keener.
it kind of just brings us back.
He's like, at the end of the day, with his little Southern accent, at the end of the day, who cares if you're, just be a badass. At the end of the day, just be a badass.
Resonates.
Oh my God, I love Joe.
Shout out Joey Keener. If you don't know him, got to meet him at some point.
we need to have him on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Just for the charisma and Southern accent alone.
Absolutely.
We'll take it.
New Orleans training camp. And Joe knows his way around a grill.
Yes.
Oh.
I've heard the name a few times.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
He's like Evan's Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
Kind of. He's like a redneck Mr. Miyagi.
Have I met him yet?
He was definitely a coconut. He was at the New Orleans AVP.
Oh,
I don't know if you've met him.
I might have met him.
Love
there.
that.
But he's got curly hair.
We're ready for you, Joe.
He's so
Ready.
awesome. Yeah, we'll send him this clip.
Yeah,
He'll be fired up.
Ev said he's trying to get Joe out here. So if he's out here, we can do a little, we can break out the new grill.
Yeah, a little tutorial on my new grill.
Yeah. And then we can get Joe on. But you guys, it's funny because you guys played at UCLA. You like played a couple one-offs, but then you really haven't played together. And Abby was a late fill for Tony Rodriguez. But you guys have a system. It looked like you've been playing together for years. Like I'm watching you guys run these little tempo back sets in transition. And I was like, it looked finely tuned. And you're laughing. So I'm guessing there's a story behind that.
Well, thank you, Steino.
Well, Stein, we're dialed on our UCLA system, whatever. But
it's definitely our go-to.
Yeah.
Especially since we haven't been playing together a lot. I mean, we've had some practices, but it's definitely just like what we can go to and we know. We've got our number system to mix in there too. And then we go to a couple like spread. Yeah.
I'm laughing because we have our UCLA system and then we have what we've been doing at the USA Development Group, just like the 1, 2, 3, like, super basic.
Yeah.
We have kind of both. And so we go to New Orleans. This is why I'm laughing because it's just about Joey again. And we go to New Orleans. They were playing in the Houston tournament and I was in Brazil. And so before the NORCECA, we met in New Orleans for a couple of days, do a little mini training camp. Wyatt was out there too. And Joey's just so, I just love him. And he was like, why don't, Savvy, when you're digging a high line shot, why do you just, you're digging it. Why do you just stay at the pin? You're so freaking fast. Why don't you just shoot across the court? Abby, her hands are so good. Why doesn't she just send it all the way across? And we're like, I don't know. We worked on it for a day, like maybe an hour. And we were running against like Anouk and Joana and Hugh and Brunner. Like we're just going to commit to this system. And we're still totally fine too. We still don't know like how far. Like we've not talked once about the distance. She just flings it to me, especially if it's going to like our right shoulder. We ran it yesterday and I sent it so far and I turn around. I'm like, I don't even know where this went. Abby step close, no block, hammers it straight down the line. I'm like, that's nice.
It is nice.
And so it's funny, like we came back and Scott and Jen were kind of running us through some stuff on Monday at practice. And we're like, gold. That's our UCLA little tempo. Go back. Scott's like, what are all these things? We're like, 1 hour with Joey Keener and we got a whole brand new system. But that's why I'm laughing, just because it was really just an hour of experimenting, and most of it was in transition. And so we're kind of trying to implement, like, we're at a point now where we feel like we want to develop a system, like, and that's everyone's thing, develop a system and whatever. But I think we have one kind of dialed. We got to just do a lot of fine tuning and add some defensive stuff. But that's why I was laughing, because it was just Joey just spitballing. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
And you guys are in such a fun phase right now as a partnership, but also for you, Abby, as a player, where, like, with me and Tri, when we brainstorm ideas for the podcast, we call it a blue sky period, where there's no bad ideas.
Yeah.
Like, so if you just want to fling it, run tempo, back sets, try it out. See if it works. And if it doesn't, you'll just try something new.
Yeah. It's a creative. Yeah. It's fun.
And then you can, when it works, great. Let's keep it. We'll fine tune it. When it doesn't, oh, well, that didn't work. That was fun. Yeah. Tried it.
Yeah.
But for you as a player, it's also kind of this blue sky phase. Cause I feel like you've been dabbling in AVPs for a little bit, but now I feel like you're kind of coming into your own.
Yeah.
Have you sort of set your sights on what you want, like what role you want beach volleyball to play in your life?
I'm fully committing to it right now. I'm giving it my all.
Yeah.
I've really never thought of, when I graduated college, I was like, volleyball. I'm not ready to be done. I want to keep going. You got to give it. I've learned you have to give it your all if you want to try to make it and be the best that you can possibly be. So that's what I'm doing. We're committing to each other and gonna just grow. And I feel like I feel very free right now. And it's like the creative side that we can just explore and see the sky's kind of the limit right now. And we just keep trying new things, and it's just like working out. So I'm excited to just keep going with that and then just dial it in and finish up the system we want to run. But another side of me, I want to go to nursing school.
Nursing school is so on the back burner right now.
But I'm like, I'm not even thinking about that right now. Yeah, I took my prereqs. I'm pretty much done. I could apply to nursing school, but yeah, that's not happening for a while.
You can be a nurse for a really long time.
Yeah, that's what I was told. I was like, that's a later thing.
Yeah. And I'm sure, were your parents volleyball players too?
My mom was.
Okay.
She went to UCLA. She won 2 national championships. She beat me. I only won 1. Yeah.
But you, like, when you say you want it, like, you want it. You're in Zana's court. And if I remember right, I feel like you got the block to seal it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were just a freshman.
I was just freshman.
That's a cool moment.
It was a very cool moment. My parents looked at me after and they're like, well, this is probably the highlight of your volleyball career.
It's the highlight of my life.
Else is downhill from here. I was like, fair enough.
Yeah. That's
but
so
no,
good.
that's not the case anymore.
Did you have high school beach when you were growing up? Or is that
it just started.
A new development?
It just started when I was about to leave high school, like junior, senior year.
Got it. But I'm sure, so college, it became a sport in 2012, AVCA. What was it like for you growing up? Because I know, like, the Delaney Maples, Megan Crafts, like they had a lot of the grassroots stuff growing up. And I feel like Southern California in general has always had that culture. But have you always been a beach player?
I played in the summer for fun. I was an indoor player. And then I loved indoor. I wanted to play both in college until Stein was like, no, you're going to choose one. And I want you to choose beach. And and I was like, okay, best decision of my life. Yeah. But yeah, so I grew up playing indoor and then just played on the beach for fun. It helped my indoor game. I was like, it made my ball control better. I was actually a libero for many indoor years. Yeah, because my ball control was pretty good. Which I don't regret. Saved my body and it helped me pass better.
Any tall player I see playing libero or like skill position like that indoors, I'm like, they're going to be good at beach.
May Craft did libero for a bit too. She's another one that I remember she played libero for a bit. Yeah, like in her older years too.
And Meg's what, like 6 feet, 6'1"?
She's if that. Yeah, she's kind of like a Brandy where you think she's like 6'1" or 2", and she's only like 5'11". Yeah, something. Yeah,
really long arms.
I still every time I see Brandy's listing at 5'10" on BVB, like we gotta remeasure this. There's no way she's 5'10".
How tall is Brandy? I don't know.
She's listed at 5'10", but she plays about 6'6".
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah,
wild.
Long.
How tall are you? 6'2"?
6'2". Yeah.
Okay.
That was throwing me off all week too. It's like, I feel like she's not that tall. I'm like, she's blocking a lot of balls this week, though.
Brandy?
No, Abby.
Oh, Abby?
Remember we had that conversation?
Yeah, that's right.
I kept bringing it up. Like, no, I'm
blocking so many balls. So many balls. Yeah, I feel like in Southern California with the whole, like you said, Delaney, Maple, and Maincraft, they had Wave had a beach.
Yeah, Wave.
They had a club.
I would
and I
drive
think
down.
they had it when I was in high school too. But all I did, I was from August to December was high school indoor.
Mhm.
And from December to June was club indoor. And then you go on, you're a beach rat for 3 months.
Yeah.
I would come and stay up here and my hair would be blonde and I would be so tan. And then I'd go to indoor and just sky because I was playing on the beach for so long. And that was kind of the routine. I never did high school beach. I never did club beach really. And I think they had it, but indoor
they did
was so important back then. It was indoor, you're an indoor player and then you go play beach for fun. And luckily for me, I got to do both. But I think that was for most of us was until the Maycrafts and the Delaney's, I think they were some of the earlier, probably Jane Whitmarsh, that was the age where you would quit indoor and go full beach at kind of an earlier age.
Jaden and I are the same year. I would go down to Wave. I would say probably once I committed, which was sophomore year, I finished playing my 16s year of club and then I played high school, but then I was done indoor and then I switched over to just beach.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would go down to Wave and train with them. And then also Jeff Alzina started LA Beach. So we would go do practices with him a couple times a week. And that was huge. That was such a big thing for me to be able to start practicing
Jeff's
beach because I had never, and we're like, oh my gosh, we love Jeff.
Yeah.
We did a clinic with him a long time ago. And my mom remembered him for Seal Beach. He came down, did a clinic for them. And my mom was like, I remember that Z guy. She's like, we need to find him. And then Stein knew him and brought him in to coach LA Beach. And
he
then
coached Stein in the Olympics, I believe.
Yeah. He pushed him down south and then he took care of all of us who were kind of in that middle ground of not being close enough to San Diego because that was kind of a far drive. So we were able, the Orange County girls were able to train and that was the best training for us.
And then Jeff was unbelievable for us at UCLA.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, and you can tell that he's a good coach because he is doing great work with Santa Clara with minimal resources. He's turning them into kind of a viable program.
Jeff's got to be underrated.
Totally.
For sure.
Because he was the head of the elite development program, so we called it back in the day. Is that what we still call it? No. I forget what we call it.
I feel like now it's just, that's what you guys called it. Yeah. EDP.
And he ran a great program. It was perfect program to be a part of, a stepping stone kind of thing where he was bringing the top guys down for us to play with. It was that moment, those moments where whoa, I get to play with him today. And Z was bringing everyone down.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jeff Alzina.
Yeah.
He's the man.
No, he's a family friend of ours now too. I was I am bringing him down for Manhattan this past Manhattan MBO.
Have we had him on?
Once.
We had him on.
Yeah.
A while ago though.
Good.
Yeah. Zoom, he had a big beard.
Okay. Zoom. That's why.
He's due for another one. He's due for another one.
He needs an update.
He is awesome. He helped us get our 9th in Manhattan. I don't think we would have done it without him.
Yeah.
That's a big 9th too. Manhattan 9th is not easy to do.
Yeah.
It's a big
I'm
tournament.
proud of it.
As you should be.
What do you think is the, because as you mentioned, your parents said it's all downhill from here after you won UCLA. What do you think is some of the more memorable experiences you've had?
Gosh, MBO was kind of a big one for me. I didn't make it in that many. I didn't qualify for many of the AVPs. So for that one was huge for me. And to also be able to play on center court and win my match, that was awesome. My family was all there. Some of my friends came to watch, and it was super cool.
You qualified
through Jeff.
Where'd you qualify?
Wapaka. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a 3rd at Wapaka, and it qualified us, and that was during Hermosa. So
yeah.
When is Wapaka? It's still a bucket list here for me.
It's usually July, so it'll be during
hard pack.
It'll be during.
I'm not doing grass.
No.
Well, the sand, if it rains.
Sorry,
it's
you said July?
Yeah, it'd be during Stad.
Could be open.
I'll be in Stad.
Yeah.
Stad or Wapaka. My first Stad. The first time he's asked me to play.
You're going to go to a pack and
me
be
and Travis have been trying to play
together
for
years.
5 years. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Still can't make it work. Yeah. The one time that it was King of the Court was lining up where we could have gone. It would have been perfect. He's got a wedding.
It's like the first wedding I can actually go to for once.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
and then another tournament pops up. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I told him that our first tournament would be the dyno.
Yeah, we're both gonna be 40.
Is that the age limit? 40?
You got it. Well, your
One
combined age has to be 80.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's hilarious.
when he's 41 and I'm 39, we can make it work. 6 more years.
Incredible.
We got time.
You guys would crush. You guys would
Think
crush.
about like pretty much anyone can play with Hayden,
Yeah.
which is like,
Well, when Phil and Nick played the Olympics,
Phil and Nick
they
can
could have
play
played the dyno.
yeah, okay, that's just
That's
in the
crazy.
Olympic.
Yeah. Phil and Nick
That's
could have gone from
crazy.
Tokyo to
It'd
the
be like an
dyno.
insult to show up. Those two
Yeah.
go straight to the dyno.
Yeah, well, this year's dyno had, I
Unreal.
think 5 Olympians. It had
Mhm.
Bug,
Oh, that's right. I saw that.
Phil,
I
Casey,
was kind of jealous seeing that
Jake,
picture.
Paul,
I was like,
and Paul Lutman.
Mhm.
Yeah. And which Bug,
I was very
I
jealous.
talked to Taylor, by the way, and he said that the second he got with Matza, I said, is that more impressive than your Manhattan? He goes, easily the greatest accomplishment
Did he
of all
win?
my
Yes.
career.
Yeah.
Wait, he won?
He got second with Matza.
It was
Whoa.
unbelievable.
It's
With
incredible.
Phil and Jake and everyone out there.
Matza was in a
Yeah.
little box at
I
the
saw.
net. It was unreal.
Also, like the things that Taylor Crabb will put his energy towards. Whereas, like, you know, Phil and them are like, I'd like to lose. Like,
Yeah.
don't tell the guy who's paying me to win. But like, they just want to lose and drink
And just hang out.
Yeah.
Taylor's like, this is my moment. I'm going all in.
Oh, he went all
You don't have to pay
in.
the guy anything.
Oh,
Give him a Mai Tai and he'll go.
He's good to go. Yeah.
so awesome.
With you though, Abby, I remember. So I think the first time I watched you play was when you won the national title playing with Zana. But then the second time was when you had some kind of bid into Seattle, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm wondering how was that experience for you? Just like getting that main draw, like playing AVP.
Yeah, that was really cool. I had qualified for that because I played in AVP first.
Okay.
So I was 18, I think. And they allow you, if you win that as an 18-year-old, the 18 division, then yeah, you are able to play. And we
Okay.
had to
Oh,
play
sweet.
Sponsel and Kelly.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, first round. And I had known Sponsel pretty well
Yeah.
at that time. So it was just a really cool opportunity to be able to play them.
Yeah.
And
Because I
they
was always,
smoked us.
I was always curious what it was like to be, because the men's side did that too. And they
Mhm.
always, I think Schwengel and Rowdy Lennon won
Yeah.
the year guys that
Yeah.
you guys were in. I was
I
asking
remember.
John, I was like, it's really cool that you're in the main draw, but that you're almost like an appetizer for these teams. Like, does that like
Right.
devastate you at all? He's like, no, dude, it's so fun. Like, just
Yeah.
getting on center court. Like, you got to play Phil, you get to play Sponsel and Kelly.
Yeah,
Like, it's such a cool experience for
For
up
sure.
and coming teams to do.
for sure. No, it was really cool to have the opportunity. But now the qualifiers are so crazy to have like if they still do that for the younger girls to be able to do that, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I'd be
'Cause now-
pissed. I'd be
I'm
like,
honestly
Yeah.
kind of like going back on it now. I'm like, oh, I would be upset if that was just like a one spot to get in.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're thinking we're gonna have to be the qualifier
yeah.
for Huntington.
For
Yeah.
So
Especially I could see it for a Manhattan 32 team draw,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
give one
Yeah.
U spot, but that was
Yeah.
a small draw too.
Yeah.
Could you imagine small draw Huntington? They give one to like
That would be tough.
16-year-olds.
that would be tough.
Furious. Or the team
But I
who's on
think
the bubble
Seattle-
of being like in the main draw or
Yeah.
being in the oh my gosh.
Right.
it'd be
Seattle might have
good.
been like one of the tournaments that was maybe a little less.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was lucky.
It's,
It was
it's still a great
It's a
experience.
cool
opportunity.
experience.
Yeah.
Totally.
Had you always wanted to go pretty far with volley?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always had I have my long-term goals.
Yeah.
We'll see if I can get there, but
Mhm.
obviously
What are the long-term visions?
I would love to go to an Olympic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I would love to, but we'll see.
Especially we're at home in
1 year at a
2028. It's
time,
just up
yeah.
the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just one challenge.
I've never
main
really
draw at a
thought
time.
of thinking about your years in like quads, like 4 years,
Mhm.
like how, and Scott brought that up to Scott Davenport, and I was
Right.
like, wow, so you're actually thinking about that for right now? And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
I think it's crazy because being on the road, and I think Tri, you can probably speak to this well. I would probably encourage not doing that. Thinking of your life in quads.
Yeah.
Because the Olympic, I think the amount of weight that our sport puts on the Olympics is actually killing our sport. because we're ignoring the 4 years in between.
Yeah.
And I think that if you focus on the micro, and I don't want to be like soapbox giving you life advice, but I just think the weight that it puts on players, it looks awful.
Oh, it's devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that seems like a lot of pressure, guys.
Yeah.
Literally just going back to like the Zoe Esme versus Anouk and Joana, like that.
Right.
I mean, that it's just crazy that the stress they're probably feeling and they can't even celebrate each other. I mean, and I get it because that is the goal for a professional beach volleyball player. That is like the pinnacle and maybe the Manhattan Open and world champs and that kind of stuff. But it'd be great if there was more focus on other events, other big events. But that's kind of just how it's been, I guess.
It's like as great as it is for how amazing the Olympics is and all that, there's like another side to it, right? And it takes away from a lot of the great things about our sport as well. Like we want an Olympics every year, right? Like other sports have a Super Bowl every year. Like we want that every year, but the Olympics kind of takes away from it because everyone looks at this 4-year journey a little bit. And then like on the personal side of it, like I'm on my 3rd time doing it and it's like extremely stressful and it's almost like an empty goal sometimes because it's just one event that's 2 weeks long and like the name Olympian and the way that they build it up and all this stuff, like it's not like this life-changing money there. There's not really anything there except for this label that you can get sucked into it, like, and doing it for the wrong reasons. I think that's kind of what we're bringing up. And me and Trav and whoever's on the road, we're like hearing these conversations and seeing these people over years and years. And like, it's like eating away at a lot of people. Yeah. Because they're so focused on this one Olympic goal. And I'm doing like tons of work right now, trying to like figure out my psychology and where I'm at because I've done this 3 times in a row. And mentally, physically, it can take a toll. So like really trying to figure out if I'm aligning my goals with my actual true values versus like just this Olympic thing that they said is the goal or that you decided was the goal years ago. And you just started taking all your actions and making all your decisions based on that. When in reality, like your values would have taken you a little bit of a different, more authentic direction. So like, it's worth like really thinking deeply, like not just like, I just want Olympics. You got to have the why. But on the flip side of it, it's an amazing dream. Like it actually gets me up and out to practice all the time, right? Like I have something to work towards. I have this sense of purpose. It's scary. It's challenging. So you're like constantly challenging yourself and trying to figure out new things about yourself. Like I'm doing all this self-work right now, but like mostly because I'm losing and like because I've failed to do it multiple times. But like that's good too, right? Like I've grown so much because I've taken on a massive challenge. Yeah. So there's a lot to it, I guess, is what I would say.
It's good that you see the little goal, like your little successes out of that too.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's important.
And like one season at a time, right? Like you don't know where you're going to be at in life in 3 years, especially like as you get, like I was not single, but I wasn't married, just basically had to worry about myself when I first started my first quad. Second one, I got married, but didn't have a kid. Or did I? I had one right before the end of it. And now I'm like a full family man with a kid and like a family to take care of. It's like, but this goal's not going to change. Like your life's changing a lot, but this goal staying the same, that doesn't really make all that much sense. So you don't want to look too far because you want to be a different person next year than you are this year, right? Because then that means you grew and you learned and all that.
I was telling her I just talked to Alex Cushing, the sports psych, and because I was like having a hard time early this year, I was like, I don't know what my goals are. Like I'm like, I don't feel very motivated. I don't feel like I have a purpose right now. I'm like, I'm kind of just like showing up and going through the motions because I took my off season very seriously last year. Like after Chicago, I was like, I'm off. This is great. I was so burnt out. I don't know why. I just like needed a break and came back ready to go, but felt so unfulfilled. And so we worked backwards. He's like, okay, the Olympics is your goal. Okay, that's great. But like we worked backwards from like 5 years to 4 years, 3 years. And so it was really nice to like now on a piece of paper, I have a goal for like, what's my goal for this week?
Right.
What's my goal for this month or this season? Like, and that makes it so, because if you're doing your small goals, I mean, it'll help naturally just with the end goal or, whatever. But it's definitely changed my perspective on the whole thing. And, obviously as good as all the women are for the US, it's like, that's such a reach goal. Like if I can get my name on the pier, like that's another, if I can win an AVP, that'd be great. If I could, not have to qualify anymore, that'd be, all these little goals that I think it's so important, like you said, to have these smaller goals. I mean, it's like everything in life. We all have a reach goal, and then you have your realistic goals. And I think a big goal of mine is to be able to do this for a living and have a family one day and be financially comfortable while playing volleyball. And how does that happen? Like, do I try and do the social media thing? Do I try, like there's all these different avenues you can go, and Evan and I are trying to figure that out. But I think that's another goal of mine too. So it's interesting. If you think, she was like, how do you think 5 years down the road? I'm like, well, actually you don't, like, you can't, like, that's too far away.
Well, it's like playing in a match, right? Like now, do you say I'm just going to think about winning, getting into 21, or you're telling yourself, be present, right? Like, how do you get the best out of yourself? You're constantly trying to bring yourself back to the present moment. And like in the timeline of 4 years, same thing. Like, bring yourself back to today. Totally. Win today, and then win tomorrow, and then, do it one day at a time. And then whatever the result is, it's going to be authentic to you, and it's going to be like fulfilling because you just focused on that. Day. It's easier said than done, but I mean, we all know it's about the journey, right? Like everyone says it's all about the journey, and we know it's true, but you have to like really take it to heart and be like, okay, I got to make the journey good, so that get to that last day, win or lose, it's like, well, all right, that's just the result. Like it doesn't change any of the meat of what I actually did.
That's what I was like. One of my favorite quotes is from John Wooden. He said, winning isn't the cake. Like showing up every day, practice, that's the cake. Winning's just little sprinkles on top.
Totally.
And so you just get your cake every day.
So if you have the wrong goal, at the end, you're not going to be satisfied. But that whole time getting there, you weren't enjoying it, right? If you had the wrong goal at the end, that's not lined up with like your values and the things that you actually enjoy.
Or you have this goal, you put your entire life into that goal and you reach it. I mean, how often does this happen with Olympians? You reach the goal and then there's depression. There's like, what? Who am I?
Seems like every time that happens.
Who am I?
Which we want to dive deeper into, actually.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So, and just like learning to love yourself and what you're doing. And that's like, enjoy the process, because if you are thinking so far ahead, even if you get there, that's your lifelong dream. And then it's over. And like, now what? Like the last however many years have been a blur. And yes, I achieved my life goals, but like, who am I now without this? Or, do you keep going? I mean, it's just so crazy. It's so crazy to think about.
The good thing is that
philosophy class.
It's an easy sport to fall in love with, because when you just think about what we do every day, it's like, I went out to the beach and I hung out with my friends. And then I went back and I wrote about hanging out with my friends. And then I had a barbecue with those same friends, and now I'm talking with more friends.
The fact that I was on these road trips with you, or all of you actually, and then I actually still want to call you to come over to my house and talk, it says a lot, right?
That's a win. That's a win.
Yeah.
Well, you've been playing volleyball for a long time. Like, what do you love about the sport?
I love the friends and the people that I get to meet. If I didn't have that, it wouldn't be the sport that I wouldn't want to keep doing it every day. Like I enjoy going to practice and just talking with them, and like we literally have the best time every single day, and we just like talk shit. We just we're just like
I think that's so
I don't even
cool.
need to expose
when you can just
us and Deanna just rip each other all day. It's so
Deanna,
fun.
That's what I needed to hear.
Deanna is the funny. You and Deanna together, probably. She's one of the funniest
She's
people
making
I've
me
ever
more.
met.
Yeah, like I'll talk more now. Like in practice, or I'll give it back. Before I would just laugh and just take it, and now I'll give it back.
Deanna used to just dish all day.
She's teaching me.
Yeah, now we're both like, the other day it's like her and Tony came just to kind of serve some balls, and it was on Monday. We're just kind of repping stuff out, and she was going after the serve, and she was either missing or trickle acing, and I'm like, thanks for all these awesome reps, Deanna. And she was like, finally someone's chirping back at me, finally. And Scott and everyone else, because like Haley Harward and Kylie DeBerg and Tony, they're like at practice, they're a bit more like serious at practice, and we're like we're all like la-di-da. But I think it's been awesome because that's who we are as people, and we've been like, I think everyone, like, you can get better in your own way. Like if that's being goofy or if that's being serious, doesn't matter. We're all getting better. But it's been so fun just to like have that culture. And that's like my favorite part about that group is like you show up and you have like your friends are there. And my favorite part about playing with her is like, I so enjoy spending time with her, and like it just makes it so fun. And I've learned that about myself. Like playing with a partner who I like adore and like love and want to be with is so important. Like I'm not the guy who can just go play with someone that I'm like, whatever. That's just not who I am. And some people are like that, and I'm just not. Like if I can play for someone and have that love for them, I just think my game elevates, and I think their game elevates because it's just like a love for each other. Other people are different, but it's been so fun. It's Deanna, like her moving in with Deanna now too. I mean, she is just a hoot. Deanna Kraft, everybody. She's is
the best.
Unbelievable. She's so funny. And so, yeah, we all kind of chirp each other now. It's fun.
Excited to hear some of that trash talk on tour.
We should.
SANDCAST
I mean, I think it'd be
tour.
awesome. We should with her.
Let's mic her up.
Yeah, she'll be out there. Dude,
If
you mic up
really
Deanna, content of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Dude, she's
go.
hysterical.
She's
How do I not know this?
And especially because Delaney and Deanna are best friends. And so they're over all the time. So if you mic up Deanna talking shit to me, it would be gold.
So good.
Yep.
And if you don't tell her, that would be even funnier.
Yeah.
She didn't even know.
She doesn't even know.
Oh, we could do that.
Oh, she'd be even more. You mic her up, she'd be on fire.
She'd be Deanna times.
I mean, you saw her at karaoke.
Oh, yeah. We had the best night at karaoke. She put on a show.
Oh, yeah.
We were her
I
audience.
can only imagine.
It was great. Yeah.
So
Free weekend. We're going back to karaoke Obies.
Now, you guys not only like are pretty good friends playing together, but team double date. That has to be one of the funniest
I've been
things
waiting for
I've
this.
ever seen. How was it? So for the listeners, just Savvy's dating Evan, Corey, and Abby's dating Wyatt Harrison. And you guys went to the same NORCECA, went from that NORCECA to, you guys did, was it New Orleans first? Like full squad?
So Savvy met us in New Orleans, but we were actually in Houston. Evan and Wyatt went and played in Houston, and then I played with Jade Race.
Okay.
And so we played. We ended up getting a second. I don't know what place they got, but yeah, so we played there. Too much detail. And then we met them in Savvy and everybody else, and had Easter with Evan's family, did a crawfish boil.
Yes.
That was my first one ever.
Dang.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Did a couple days of training there, and then we were off to Santo Domingo.
Yeah.
How,
So, I mean, we really
how
had
what a great experience. That must have been a riot.
So for 2 weeks, so they weren't I was supposed to be in Guadalajara with Tony.
Right.
And then she called, and her knee was just not feeling right. And so thankfully I was able to make a sub because the qualifier wasn't full. Literally within that same hour or so, they were like emailing or DMing other men's teams, and they're like, we're gonna get off the reserve list. So like all at the same time, the three of them are switching flights, and I'm like, yes, this is so awesome. We're just gonna keep it going. And so for 2 weeks, we all four crammed into one hotel room, and me and Evan and Abby and Wyatt shared full beds.
That's called
quite the
balling on a budget.
We were balling on a budget, and everyone's like, that was the number one question coming home. How was it sharing a room with that many people, and how are Abby and Wyatt? And then I was like, it was the greatest 2 weeks ever. Like if we could do that all the
Kind of
time.
felt like vacation.
Yeah, it was like vacation.
Party.
It was so fun.
Vacation.
It was, and then if like they could go on a date, or like we could go to dinner and the boys could do that. It was like so nice to be able to like, and I felt like I got closer to Wyatt. I'm sure they got closer. And so it's like, I don't know. And then Evan kind of coined the team double date on his Instagram post.
Yeah.
And like, that's perfect. So it's just, I had that one time when he was playing with Troy Field and I played with Megan Rice.
That's right.
Just for the Hermosa AVP. So that was fun. But like to do it now, like traveling and doing it, we're all going to Cuba next week. So that'll be another fun one.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
So you guys are going to that one too.
Going to Cuba.
That's the most unique event you might ever play.
Yeah. We're stoked.
Yeah.
It'll be
I think
fun.
that's a trip that I highly recommend if you have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
You take it because you'll never drive in cars like that ever again.
I'm so
It's going to be, I'm really excited to talk to you guys when you guys get home.
Yeah.
Because it's so interesting.
Yeah. It'll be so fun. So, but yeah, another week before, I mean, they're the one team. So we're like, well, we're going to try and I don't know, try and hop in a room. I don't know how that's going to go in Cuba.
The resort you stay at
see.
super nice, actually.
That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. So yeah, it's an absolute blast. I love it. And then we also warm each other up, which is great. So like we can go serve them or they can serve us. And that's been, the other person can shag. That's been unbelievably helpful.
Full practices together.
We've played no jump. They played no jump against us jumping on a women's net. That was fun.
How'd that go?
I think we split.
I think they won in 3. Right?
I don't think we played the third.
No, did you win in 3?
Say the right answer, Ev.
I don't think we played the third game.
Did we?
Rubber mats in Cuba.
Yeah, that'd be good.
He doesn't want to say.
That'd be good.
Stream it.
They're so good. No jump on a women's net. I'm like, this is not fair.
Yeah,
they're like blocking us on the women.
Yeah,
this is so not fair. But yeah, that's fun. But
it's also having your own built-in support system. It's like I'm used to having my family go to everything, so just having them there was so nice. Like look in the audience. I'm like, oh, we got our two fans, our two fans, which means a lot, even though it's just like 2 people.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, how was it having you and Tessa went to UCLA at the same time for 1 or 2 years?
2 years, too.
Okay.
Yeah,
are you guys close?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Almost too close to where then we fight too much. But I haven't seen her very often, so we never fight anymore.
Is she
It's
still
really nice.
She's still there?
She's still
still
UCLA?
there.
She's playing with Jane Whitmarsh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's playing with Jaden.
They're at Pac-12s right now.
Man, it's crazy. The college season's almost over.
I know.
How are they doing?
Pac-12s, and then they won their first game today.
Okay.
They play Stanford tomorrow morning, and then I don't know if that's jumps them to quarters or semis.
No. Double limb. Same. It's similar.
So then it's probably quarters then.
Yeah.
Does she have a natty yet?
She doesn't.
Okay.
So, but she still has 2 more years.
Okay.
She has this year and 1 more.
The only person there that does is Jaden.
Yeah.
Her freshman year, she redshirted and she won a natty. So she's the only one so far. So hopefully, like Lexi, Tessa, Devin, Riley, like those girls, they don't have one yet. So hopefully they can.
I feel like it wouldn't be right if that crew didn't.
I know.
I'm so curious what's going to happen. We can't let USC.
He tries like, yeah.
Who's been winning?
I think that they have 3 in a row.
They have 3 in a row.
Yeah. Well, that's rough.
Is Tessa going to be welcome back in the family if she doesn't get a natty? Is that
wow? I don't know. She's got
Lori, their mom has one.
Too.
Abby has one. We gotta get Tessa one.
My great uncle has 2.
I don't have one.
From
Tessa,
UCLA too. He played water polo.
Wow.
Yeah. So my grandma's brother.
So the Van Winkles are just full UCLA.
Yeah,
it's in the blood.
Yeah.
Except my grandpa was a Trojan.
Oh wow,
that's funny.
Yeah.
So one trader.
So one trader,
But he started it.
He started.
Everyone traded it off of that.
He was a full Bruin though when my mom went there,
That's
so
cute.
he fully devoted himself to being a Bruin. But then she was gone, and he was back to being a Trojan. Only football was where he was like, I can't cheer for UCLA.
Yeah.
Got it.
So he played football back with leather helmets.
Oh, jeez.
Is that your grandfather?
Leather. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then so my mom's dad, and he actually dropped out of college because his dad passed away. He couldn't pay for college. He left, went to community college, then did track and field and threw the javelin and got a scholarship back to USC.
Whoa.
And then did track.
Now that's an American story.
That's awesome.
And then he became
Jim.
a dentist. Yeah. And he went to dental school at USC.
Super cool.
So we do have some USC dabbling in there.
So Grandpa Jim, I never met Grandpa Jim. He passed before I met him. But lately, when we play, Abby, she's told me, I don't hear her say this, but like we'll play and she'll be like, Grandpa Jim, I need this ace right now. Grandpa Jim. And so now we're like, Grandpa, like a butterfly flew by and she's like, that's Grandpa Jim.
I was like, it's a good sign.
I see you. I see you, Grandpa Jim.
Yeah.
She's like, we beat Anouk and Joana and she's like, that was Grandpa Jim. That was our Grandpa Jim. It's so
I was like,
cute.
I asked Grandpa Jim for a couple and he
yeah.
responded.
Yeah.
Well, and her grandma, who we call Q-Tip because she had her hair. I mean, she just has white hair. She's rubbing her necklace, and because she's
she
a
has
picture
a locket with my
Jim.
grandpa on it.
She the whole game she's rubbing her necklace, like,
and she asked him for points too, and she's like, turns to my mom. She's like, that one was Grandpa. That was your dad. So funny.
Do you ever not hit a point? And you're like, where were you on that one, Grandpa?
No, like, where were you on that one? I wanted that win. I can't be too greedy. I gotta know when I really need it.
It's so cute.
What about was your dad? Is he California too?
Yeah, he was, but he played baseball.
Got it.
Yeah. So he went to.
You need to have Dave on the podcast. He's a
unfiltered.
Let's go.
Old fashions with Dave would be
more than welcome.
Yeah.
He'd bring the old fashioned stuff. He's big on the old fashioned. So
perfect.
Wyatt had a
we have a bar right off set here.
Wyatt's initiation into the family was Wyatt. We all went down there with Wyatt and Evan and my neighbor John and his girlfriend.
It's like our New Year's little party.
And we went down there and the girls were like, cheese board and wine. We made this unbelievable cheese board. I was out of commission that night because I drank a bit too much. And I'm like, okay, I need to eat like a lot. And I overindulged and I like was so sick. I overate. I was so uncomfortably full. And I went upstairs to go to sleep and I just could hear Dave, her dad, downstairs like, you guys want another old fashioned? And they're all like, he made them probably 12 old fashioned. Like they were up. Finally, her mom was like, it's 3 a.m. No more old fashions. And they feel like, especially Wyatt, like they can't say no. Like this is Wyatt's like, no, I'm in. And then Dave is like, we're going on a push-up hike tomorrow where they hike and then on every bench they do like push-ups. And so they were all up early morning. Wyatt's like, frick, I gotta do this push-up hike to make sure Dave is happy. And they went on their push-up hike. Abby went. Me and Evan were like,
I had to protect Wyatt. I was like, I'm not gonna let him go by himself. So I gotta go too.
So funny. So fun.
Yeah.
Your dad sounds like a must-have in the podcast Blue Couch.
He likes to have his fun. Yeah.
He would have good stories to tell for sure.
How have you're early in your career, but how's like the expectation converse reality of being a professional beach volleyball player? Because you've thought about it for a while.
Yeah.
And now you're living the road dog days of summer.
You know, I don't know. Like in college felt like a long time. 5 years in college, I was ready to go. I thought I was going to be a little sad, but honestly, I was like, thank you, UCLA, for my time, but I'm ready to move on to the next level. It was time. But kind of going from there, like when I won my freshman year, I was loving volleyball so much. Like I was like, I am doing this forever. Like I had then dreams, like it made my dreams even feel more real or like that I could reach them just because I was on such a high. So I really had all these, these feelings that I was going to play volleyball for a while. But now that I'm out of college, I took a little bit of a break. So I was a little burnout and I was kind of going through a little bit of these waves were hitting me kind of like, is this what I want to keep doing? It's not really a money-making thing. I'm living kind of a fantasy life right now, just being like playing volleyball, waking up, going to have fun with my friends. It doesn't seem like a real thing, but it is. And you can make it a lifestyle. You just have to put in work elsewhere, like what Savvy was saying, like with the sponsors or the social media, like you gotta put in work to like kind of vouch for yourself and bring yourself up to be able to make sure that you can do this for a living. So I'm in the works of that now to be able to see if I can make my dreams come true.
Yeah, that was my goal after college, was to just see how long I could not get a job.
Still going strong. She's in
I don't
the
think
thick
I'm
of
ever
it.
going to get one, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm learning a lot this year.
Delaney calls it Peter Panning.
Yeah.
So whenever I go out to coach or do whatever, she's like, have fun Peter Panning today. So we're all just Peter Panning.
Yeah,
we're literally living the fantasy land. But she's in the thick of it right now with like the ins and outs of international travel. Like she booked a Spirit flight to the Dominican. And that we're like, maybe no more Spirit. We're like, man, I don't know about Spirit.
It was
a
cheaper.
little sketchy.
It was
Until
cheaper.
you showed up to the airport, and then you try to get on the plane, and they charge you for that. And then they're like, oh, you want to drink water?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to charge you for that.
Yeah, I didn't know that they didn't give you water, so I sucked it up and I didn't have any water.
But it's been like interesting, like, because Evan and I haven't been doing it for very long, but when we went on our first trip, we had, on my first trip was with Meg Kraft, but we had spent a lot of time with Emily Day and Bill Klinsky. So two like veteran players who had traveled internationally a lot. Like we learned the ropes from them like pretty quick. And so we're traveling with them and me and Evan are like, whoa, are we the veterans right now? Like we've done all the travel. We're like, what? Like we're us? Really? We're like,
it's really nice to have them. And just, she's like, am I being too much? I'm like, no,
Well, because I'm telling her, I'm like, don't do this. Don't drink the water. Don't brush your teeth with the water. Don't do this. Don't eat that. No salad. I'm like,
I appreciate it.
And I'm like, am I like...
Salad's a backwards one, right? Because you're like, get my nutrients in, get all these vegetables in. Not unless they're cooked.
Not unless they're cooked.
I made a mistake.
I almost ate a caterpillar in Brazil.
Oh, gosh.
Straight, just full healthy caterpillar, just walking across my salad. I was like, oh. Don't even bother bringing
Hakuna
another
Matata.
one. Don't even bother.
Oh my
Hakuna Matata, buddy.
Oh
You go live on, buddy. This is your salad.
But it's been fun being like the veteran player in a way. I mean, this is like our third year on tour, and we're like, oh, we're showing it. But like, I mean, it's just a learning experience. You don't realize how much. Like I didn't realize how much I had to learn until like we're going through it with them, and we're like, there's so many little intricate things. Like, and each person's different. Like how much recovery do you need? Do you want to go back to the hotel, or do you want to kind of hang here? Do you want to NORCECA in between? There's so many little nuances that you kind of have to figure out.
When you show up, no, don't sleep. What are you doing? You're gonna go to sleep.
When to lift? Like do you want to lift the day before? Do you want to take the day before off? Like what kind of practice do you want?
But you're at altitude, so now that same lift you might do on another jet lag, you don't want to do as hard the first day.
Brutal. I didn't realize how the altitude we were in. I crushed a lift and I was dying. I was like,
we had a short practice and I was borderline blacking out. I couldn't see. I have no idea what happened in the scrimmage. I was just like, you guys want to play all the way to 21? You sure? One set. I was like, I don't care what happens.
We went with the Puerto Ricans. We went with Alanis and Maria, the Puerto Ricans, and they ran us through. Her flight was delayed, and so I went early until she got there, and they ran us through this like 3-person over the neck cooperation warm up, and I was like,
I'm sorry.
I'm dying. And I look over and Alanis has her hands on her knees. I'm like, thank God. Like and they're like doing sprints before practices.
And Alanis is like one of the fittest people I've ever seen.
And I look over and she's hands on her knees. I'm like, thank God I'm not the only one.
It's the worst when you're the only one.
You're like, that's wrong with me.
By far the worst.
By far the worst.
I've worked so hard too. I'm like fully trained to get here, and now I'm just gassed and everyone else is not. Like, what's wrong here?
Like, what's wrong with me?
It's a bad feeling.
How was India, by the way? That was your first one?
Yeah,
that was like one of the worst tournaments.
So actually, kind of going back to your question, did you think you wanted to keep doing this after India? I was like, are all FIVB tournaments like this? I was like, I know they're all hot. I know, but I was like, I don't know if I want to do that again. I was like, maybe I don't want to be a beach volleyball player.
I'd love to go back to India. I would never play again if it was like that.
Yeah.
Was it just hot?
It was I think it was the combination of like the smog, the heat was unbearable. Yeah. They actually canceled matches during the day because it was inhumane to be playing.
And then it was like, even like you check the UV index and it was like the highest spike to red I've ever seen in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And we're like training and I was like giving up. Like I don't give up. I was like, I'm not playing you guys. Like this is ridiculous. I started playing no jump with
Hendrick and Matthias.
And them. Yeah. I was like, guys, like I'm out of here. And then I'd go lay in the water. I was like, oh, it's hot water. Like, I literally can't cool off. Like this is miserable.
I watched Evan play. I was up like, I don't know if it was super late night or early morning. I tuned in and Evan's like, I love the heat. Like, I'm ready to go. He's from New Orleans. The humidity is like his friend. He's like, I want to play at the hottest time of the day because everyone else is going to die and I'm going to be fine. And I turn it on and I'm watching and I'm like, they're on stadium court and Evan's like barely
moving.
They hit a ball and he's like, I'm like, what?
They're splitting.
That's the exact same time that I was practicing against Norway outside.
Yeah.
And I remember Evan and them were playing inside. And then Evan had his whole great travel story before that. I was like,
he lost his passport too.
If I was them, right, like I don't even
over like 3 days.
I couldn't even imagine what you felt like in that match.
Well, then Cody, I'm like, what? I'm like, they're not trying because I look at the temperature and it said 86 degrees. I'm like, even the feels was like 90. It wasn't that hot.
Like a desert heat, like you step out and it's like burning your skin kind of thing, but like it sucked the life out of you instantly.
Yeah. And I was watching and they call medical timeout. I'm like,
you were texting me.
I'm like, what the F is going on?
Savvy, you don't understand. Yeah. It's deadly.
I was like, it looks like they're not trying.
I was like, they're trying.
So funny.
One of the hardest, the worst, honestly, the most tired I've been all season in gas was playing against India, who was, no offense, great guys. They were the lowest level team I've played all season by far. And they took us to like 18 all. And I was like not really blocking, barely moving. And I think that was the most tired I've ever been all year. Yeah. Playing a team that was by far the lowest level.
Yeah.
And I was just miserable. There's like all these school kids in the stands. They all come down after to take photos. I'm like trying to get out of there. I'm like, no, please let me get out. Full on, I have to take pictures with the whole school. I was just like,
I can't imagine.
Yeah, it was gnarly.
Well, that's a good starting point because you're only going up.
That's how I looked at it. I was like, well, because I talked to a lot of people who went and they were like, oh no, that was definitely the hottest tournament I've ever played in. And I was like, oh, okay, great. So I experienced the worst tournament ever.
That's kind of true.
Anything's going to be better than this. I'm excited.
It's funny. So your college experience, your mom's like, it's only downhill from here. So and then your FIVB, it's like, all right, great. We have a low baseline, only going up.
And
then
not wrong.
I thought Guadalajara, I liked that setup a lot. I thought
it was cool. The venue was cool.
I love tennis.
The altitude was just a little tough, but.
Yeah, the sand was sweet too.
Yeah.
It was good.
But so you took that little break, and then was that sort of kind of an introspective period to see what your next step wanted to be, or did you always know that you were going to get back into
I always knew I was going to, but I kind of gave myself a little bit of time away from it to just kind of miss it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes you need to miss it and want that. That's kind of what pushes you to get back into it and motivates you. Like, oh, I'm excited to get back to practice. I want to work on these things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to miss the sport, and then I did, and it was perfect. Then I was like, okay, time to go back.
Yeah.
Do you think taking that break, because now I think you're objectively playing the best volleyball of your career. Do you think that break helped you, like missing it a little bit and having that enthusiasm in practice? Do you think that that's kind of helping you play at this level? I
totally do. I think it rejuvenated me and it made me ready, and now I feel like I'm just getting started, and it's all exciting things from here on out.
How long was that break?
I probably took a month off.
Okay.
And that was probably like not touching a volleyball at all.
Yeah.
Working out still a little bit, but just, no volleyball at all.
You'll take many more of those.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't want to touch a ball for a month.
And I was surprised. I wanted to get back sooner than that. It was really like a week, and I like schedules, I like routines, so being out of that was a little uncomfortable for me too, but I knew I needed it. Actually Betsy was somebody, she was like, you are coming out of college right now and you haven't taken a break yet? I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go, like I'm done with college, I'm ready for the next level, I'm so excited. And then I really understood what she meant by that, and I was like, of course I'm gonna be out here and training with you guys, like I'm so excited. And then I was like, oh, I understand what she meant now. Like, you need to give yourself that time, little grace period, miss it, give time to yourself. And it does. It helps you a lot. Yeah. And I think it will help me long-term, like more looking at it long-term. Like Savvy said, you got to be ready for like, you're going to get burnout eventually. And it's like how you deal with that. Mm-hmm. So I think that will push things further for me to maybe like not be burnout till December.
Yeah. No. Burn out at the right time for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited for you as an individual, you individually, team double, all four of you guys.
The whole squad. Thank you. We're stoked.
Now, Ab, where can people follow you and follow along on your journey?
I guess just Instagram. I don't really use the TikTok.
Okay.
The
TikTok. And are you just like at Abby Van Winkle?
Yeah, _Abby Van Winkle _
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Was this as nerve-wracking as you thought?
No, it was better. You guys made it very easy. I appreciate it.
I'm like, it's literally a conversation. You can wear sweatpants. Like, it's so casual. She's like, I don't know.
It's the camera.
None of us have shoes
these
on.
mics.
I know.
They're intense.
The fancy mics, and the lights. Right?
Yeah, and the lights.
Really.
Yeah.
It's just like volleyball. We're just hanging out with our friends.
Just another day on the beach.
That's it.
The beach.
Yeah, it's always sunny in the studio. Always got waves, too.
Yeah.
Nice. I love it.
Also, thanks for being a great auntie to my son. He's obsessed with you. Your house in general, he's obsessed with. Diana is the apple of his eye. And you're quickly a number 2.
I'm happy to be number 2. I'm glad I take that. I'll take that place.
All right, guys. Try. Thanks for the Barbie.
Fam.
Yeah, guys.
Let's go.
Thank you for
Cheers.
having us.
Shoots.
Shoots.
There you go.
Good job.